Subject clause: who, that, which. Relative clauses give extra information about a noun in the main clause. Relative clauses begin with a relative pronoun: who, which, that, whom, whose. The relative pronoun can refer to the subject of the clause. That's the woman who bought my car. The woman subject bought my car object. Or the relative pronoun can refer to the object of the clause. This is the car that I used to own. I, subject, used to own the car object. Defining. Defining clauses give important information which tells us exactly what is being referred to. The book which you lent me is really good. This indicates which book we are talking about. Without the relative clause, it might be difficult to understand the meaning. Non-defining. Non-defining clauses add extra information. They are separated by commas in writing and by a pause on either side, where the commas are in speaking. We generally use which, not that, in not defining clauses. The book which I hadn't read was still on the shelf. This gives extra information about the book. We could miss out the relative clause and the meaning would still be clear. Omitting the relative pronoun. In a defining relative clause, we can leave out the relative pronoun if it is the object of the clause. That's the car that I used to own. We cannot miss out the relative pronoun if it's the subject of the clause. That's the woman who bought my car. In a non-defining relative clause, we cannot leave out the relative pronoun. The book which I hadn't read was still on the shelf. Which, who, and that. That instead of which. When we talk about things, that is often used instead of which in defining clauses. This is very common in speech. Is this the house that you bought? That instead of who. When we talk about people, that can be used instead of who in defining clauses. Have you met the boy that Sue is going to marry? Which in not defining clauses. That cannot be used to introduce a non-defining clause. The hotel, which was 100 years old, was very comfortable. Prepositions. That cannot be used after a preposition. This is the car that, which, I paid £2,000 for. Speech. This is the car for which I paid £2,000. Formal. Whom and whose. Whom is generally used in writing. Smith was one of the men whom Jones had met earlier. Formal. Smith was one of the men that, who, Jones had met earlier. Speech. Whom has to be used after prepositions. This is the person who I sold my car to. Speech. This is the person to whom I sold my car. Formal. Whose. Whose is always the subject of the relative clause and can't be left out. It replaces a possessive. It can be used for people and things. The dog is over there. The dog's, its owner lives next door. The dog whose owner lives next door is over there. The little girl is sad. The little girl's, her doll was lost. The little girl whose doll was lost is sad. The woman is coming tonight. Her car is a BMW. The woman whose car is a BMW is coming tonight. Her house belongs to me. Its roof is very old. The house whose roof is old belongs to me. This is Jack. His sister is staying with us. This is Jack, whose sister is staying with us. Where, when, why. We can sometimes use these question words instead of relative pronouns and prepositions. I live in a city. I study in the city. I live in the city where I study. I live in the city that which I study in. I live in the city in which I study. The bar in Barcelona is still there. I met my wife in that bar. The bar in Barcelona where I met my wife is still there. The bar in Barcelona that which I met my wife in is still there. The bar in Barcelona in which I met my wife is still there. The summer was long and hot. I graduated from university in the summer. The summer when I graduated from university was long and hot. The summer that which I graduated from university in was long and hot. The summer in which I graduated was long and hot. Now let's get down to practice. What he told me turned out to be a lie. Subordinate clause. The fact that he likes skiing doesn't interest me at all. That Jane failed her exam is a great disappointment. Whatever I hear about him surprises me. I read the book which is on the table. I visited the town which you told me about. The boy whom you told me about got the best grades in mathematics. I like the vase that is over there. Let's have some trial tests now. You have to choose right answer. They will live in a city. The city is in the north of England. A. Who. B. That. C. Whose. D. Which. E. Where.